Children with developmental trauma often feel like everything is their fault. If they weren't bad, if they were better, if they were smarter, if they could have preempted something, if they were worthy, then maybe things wouldn't have happened. And this is something that ends up being woven into the fabric of their being, and they bring it forward into their daily life, and they have a core belief that things are their fault, that they are to blame. So imagine going through your life and encountering a whole bunch of adversity or challenges and just thinking almost everything is because of you. You're to blame. You would have a pretty big feeling of worthlessness and why should I even be here? And gosh, I just make things so much worse. And the truth is this jump to blame is not uncommon. It's actually something that we all do. The problem is children with developmental trauma almost always put themselves at the center of that blame. So today, what I want to talk about is what I call the blame reflex. Talk about how us as adults, people just do this so that you can see where you're doing this and show you why for children with complex trauma, it can be much more devastating and harder for them to work through or think about or turn it around or place blame elsewhere or not find blame, because it is just something that they have learned to believe from such a young age. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that intro and then we'll dive right in. I'm Rebecca Britt, and this is the Stable Moments Podcast. I started this podcast to understand from all perspectives how we can help end the foster care crisis. The overwhelming response was we need to support our local communities. Unwanted, abandoned, orphaned children are the community's responsibility. We must support, guide, love, invest, raise up generations that will nurture, love, and support their own children to end this crisis. So the purpose of this podcast is to build an army of people that are interested and willing to take responsibility of our foster youth and who are supportive of foster and adoptive families. This is the on-ramp for people who want to get involved but might not know where to start. I want this to be a place where community members feel like they can make a difference, where they feel good enough to make that difference, and believe that they can be a big deal in the life of a child. Thanks for being part of our community. Together, we can end the foster care crisis. Hi, welcome to the Stable Moments Podcast. I'm Rebecca Britt, your host, and today we are talking about the blame reflex. Now, I'm about to talk about a whole bunch of patterns that we have, whether we know them or not, and if you're interested in doing a deep dive into your own old stories, your own patterning, your own wounding, and learning how to heal from that, get to the core of it, practical things that help you address them, become aware of them, and change your behavior, and then create the dream life that you've always wanted, free from those old patterns, then go check out my course, Heal Yourself, Heal the World. I think it's really important, imperative, that any mentor, anybody working with a kid that is saying that they're trauma informed must also be working on their own trauma. And we all have our own trauma where we have picked up old stories and old patterns that may no longer serve us. So you can check that out, stablemoments.com/heal. Okay, so this blame reflex, what I'm talking about is our jump to blaming, our jump to find fault. We do this all the time. If you think about scrolling on your social media and you see an unfortunate story, how a child was locked in a hot car, how somebody got arrested for letting their kid walk to the store. We immediately go to what they should have done differently. We immediately go to what they did to cause it. And the reason we do that is because then we can say, well, we would have never done that, so that would never happen to us. And then we get to clean it up and package it in a nice bow that gives that unfortunate thing to somebody that would never happen to me. What we don't do is hold space for an unfortunate thing to have just happened, right? Instead, we get defensive and we protect ourselves. I was thinking the other day about a show that I used to watch that's who the bleep did I marry, or I married a serial killer or whatever. And we always go into shows like that as like, I would have seen the red flags. I would have noticed this could never happen to me. Rather than just watching this person's story and realizing like, oh my gosh, this is such an unfortunate thing that happened. But for some reason, we need to either blame them or blame ourselves so that we can protect ourselves. And the reason we do this is because if we know who's at fault, then maybe we can prevent it from happening and we can feel safe. We can prevent ourselves from pain. We can prevent ourselves from having the same experience. But what we don't do is honor that person's experience. We go, okay, you told me about something bad that happened. I'm going to catalog it as what I would or wouldn't do so that that would never happen to me. And then I'm good. But we don't leave space for just crappy things happening to good people. That happens all the time, right? Where people take all the good precautions that they think they should take, and life just happens. You know, your AC breaks down. I just recently had, my son had taken a lipstick and wrote all over my couch with it. And it was a disaster. And this is a new couch. And I chose to get an expensive couch because I wanted something that would last. I didn't want to have to go get a new couch every 2 years. And I needed something that like could hold up to kids. So when he did this, I was like devastated, and I don't even wear this lipstick. So I was like, what the heck? And I knew that it was because my mom left a lipstick. I had actually seen this lipstick in the bathroom after she left, and I took it and put it in a drawer thinking I was putting it away from the kids. And when this happened, I felt like, gosh, I just got this couch, and I immediately went to blame. I wanted to blame her for being irresponsible, and she always leaves her stuff around, and doesn't she realize that like my kids can get into this stuff, and that, oh, this is so annoying. And then I blamed myself. Why, when you found the lipstick, didn't you just throw it away? It's probably a 99-cent lipstick. Like, why didn't you do that? Or why weren't you watching your kid better? And yes, the kid was to blame, but has nonverbal autism. I'm not gonna blame him. So it was me and my mom that were on the blame train, and I was really resentful. And then I realized, like, oh my gosh, these are just things that happen. Like, yes, you got yourself a nice couch. And yes, your mom left a lipstick here. But those things happen. You don't need to jump to this like, well, I'm never allowing lipstick in my house anymore. Or she made a big mistake. She was only here to watch my kids, right? To help me. People leave lipsticks. People leave some belongings behind, right? Especially when they're chasing after kids. And what I realized when I was going through that scenario was the bigger story that I was telling myself was that I can't have nice things. I went to martyr, victim, and the story underneath it all was you can never have nice things. I don't know why you bought anything nice for yourself thinking that you could enjoy it. And that was a real place of like helplessness for me, because I don't want to live a life where I can't have nice things. And I don't want to live a life where I wait until my kids are out of the house to enjoy anything. So it's not true. It's not true that I can't have nice things. But it's also not true that because you have nice things, nothing happens to you, right? Life just happens. Sometimes it's nobody's fault. It was an unfortunate event. And now, what are we going to do with it? Nobody needs to beat people up. Nobody needs to make people feel badly. And nobody needs to hold resentment over accidents. But the thing is with kids with trauma, so many things happen throughout the day that they find themselves taking the blame. And they often do not or never blame the other person. So a child as young as 3 months old can be crying in their crib and not getting their needs met, not getting their diaper changed, not getting fed, and they start to believe it must be me. It's something wrong with me that I'm not getting my needs met. And when those beliefs develop in core development, it is difficult it becomes a knowing. It's not something that you think about. Oh, maybe mom should get her stuff together. Maybe maybe it's somebody else's fault. I deserve this. No, it's like, there is something wrong with me. I'm the reason. I'm to blame. And then as you grow up and you are like, Dad's mad because of me. If I had just acted right, if I had just preempted his needs, if I had just solved this problem for him, Dad wouldn't be mad. And my parents wouldn't get divorced if I had been a better kid. These are things that kids naturally think because kids are egocentric. Kids do not know how to look outside themselves for the answer. Kids with trauma who have been neglected or been abused or been abandoned have a much higher likelihood of internalizing the blame. So it doesn't just become a scenario where something is your fault, but it becomes an identity. And if you think that everything that goes wrong is your fault and that you are to blame, it is very easy to lose your sense or never gain a sense of self-worth. In fact, you gain a sense of self-worthlessness. And it's really easy to wonder why you should even be here. Where do I belong? I always mess things up. Nobody ever wants me around. But the truth is that people might want them around. They might just be having, normal experiences, but they are taking it at a very deep blame, shame level. So a mentor cancels, which that doesn't happen in our program, but somebody cancels something with them and they go, yeah, they didn't want to hang out with me. That was my fault. Maybe if I did better last time, this person would have wanted to hang out with me. Dad had a rough day at work. Oh, I should have gotten up earlier and I should have wished him well going off. I wish I had done something. They start taking the blame for everything, for mom's well-being, for dad's well-being, for getting placed in a right placement, for remembering things, for making the day go well. And it's a tremendous amount of pressure. Or even if they don't have the pressure of like, I need to keep things going well, when things go wrong, they just know it's because of me. It's because I'm here. It's because I didn't do something. I should have known. I should have done something better. So how this shows up in ordinary relationships is, somebody has to reschedule with them and she doesn't want me. A teacher corrects them and they're like, okay, I'm stupid, I'm bad. Their friend is quiet and they're mad at me. A foster and adoptive parent is just tired and wanting to relax and they think I must have done something. A mentor seems distracted and they believe I'm boring. Another child gets attention and they think they must like them better. I should be more like them. And so these small events, they end up becoming evidence, right, for that existing belief. And their subconscious will continually try to find evidence for that belief, that existing belief that I am to blame. Now, blame versus shame here. Guilt is I did something bad, right? But shame is I am bad. And that is what so many of the kids we serve are holding with them. And once this blame becomes internalized, mistakes aren't isolated events anymore, but they become part of their identity. And so you might think, well, I'll just tell a kid, like, it's not your fault. I need you to know that this is not your fault. We hear that a lot, right? That a trauma-informed response is to say, this isn't your fault. Especially if we're talking about divorce or sexual assault or something like that. We want victims to know something's not their fault. The problem with children with developmental trauma is that you're arguing with a belief that is built through experience. They know what happens. Every time something small happens, they are gaining evidence for this. It must be me. I am to blame. So telling them it's not your fault is like a tiny drop in a bucket of an ocean full of evidence where they believe they are to blame. So I would ask you to not immediately correct the child's interpretation, but get curious about it. So what makes you think she's mad at you? Or what makes you think you're boring? What else could be happening? This could be really good. Like if mom's always on her phone and she doesn't want to spend any time with me and it's because I'm boring. Like, oh, what else could be happening? Why else might you think mom might be on her phone? Does mom have a lot of work calls she needs to take? Is mom stressed out because of all of the things that are on her plate? Might mom be making daily dinner plans and making a grocery list and doing all the things that moms have to do? Could it be? Could there be another explanation? You're not giving them the new story, but you are teaching them that their first story isn't necessarily fact. It might not have anything to do with you. Okay? So what you need to watch in yourself is we assign blame to, right? I already talked about how quickly we are to jump to fault, and that's for our own safety. That's for our own self-righteousness. That's for our own protection. But be careful about the language that you use. Language like, oh, why did you do that? Or, oh, you should have grabbed this first instead of that. Or look what happened because you got too excited. Okay, so I'm not saying that you can't hold kids accountable, and accountability and ownership is important in our program. And we build ownership through building responsibility and having kids see what happens good, positive, when they take that ownership, when they follow through with their plan, when they show up and do a chore. Wow, look, you took initiative. This is what happens. You are not to blame. You're to credit for these things. So we teach kids ownership and responsibility through the things they do great, so that they want to take more of that opportunity, right? But we don't want to accidentally reinforce that something went wrong and we should find the guilty person, right? Really what we want to do is something went wrong and what's our next step, okay? We don't need to go back and revisit and replay. We have a set of facts now, a new situation. I have a lipstick stained couch. What do we do now? What do we do moving forward? So fault and responsibility are not the same thing. Something can require a response without requiring shame, okay? We spilled something, let's clean it. We forgot something, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what to do next. We hurt somebody's feeling, how can we repair that? We got angry, we got dysregulated, we did some things we didn't mean to do. What can we do next? What do we do next can be a much more useful position than whose fault was this, right? So the bigger goal here is cognitive flexibility. And we're not trying to teach children that nothing is ever their fault, right? We're teaching them to accurately assess all of these situations and not immediately default to this is because of me. Sometimes I make a mistake. Sometimes someone else makes mistakes. Sometimes nobody makes mistakes, right? Sometimes it's nobody's fault. Sometimes we simply don't know why or how something happened. And exploring the other options is always a helpful exercise, right? Of what could have gone wrong. Somebody rescheduled something with you. Somebody acted a way that was mean towards you. Something. What else could be going on? And then you realize, okay, there's 5, 6, 7, 1,000 different possibilities of why that person felt they needed to do that day, or that something happened. And the truth is, we don't know which one of those possibilities it is. And so it's not going to help to lean into or get certain about or spiral on any one of those possibilities. But we can say, this is where we're at, and we can move forward. And that takes the danger out of the uncertainty, because we do have the facts. We don't have all of the picture. We might never know why people do the things they do, how things happen, what the perfect storm was, why it was, but we know the scenario right now, and we can make a choice in moving forward, and that choice should give us the safety. That choice should give us the protection from the uncertainty, rather than going back and doubling down on a possibility that just makes you feel resentful or at fault yourself or more shame. Okay? And it's these small, if we're talking about children collecting all of these experiences to prove themselves right, that they are to blame, then it's these small opportunities you have. It's why we call it stable moments. These small opportunities you have to show that there might be another option. And what can we do next? Let's not let this couch stained with lipstick be another experience that proves that you can't have nice things. That's trash. Let's have it be another experience where life happened and you moved forward anyway. And you continued to have your nice things. And you'll continue to have nice things, and crap will still happen. And that's all fine too, okay? It's nobody's fault. I really hope that you notice where you do this. Please go about your day and see where you assign fault, or you jump to wanting to assign fault, or you want to get fault off your plate. Well, it's not my fault because I made the appointment and I did that thing. And there's, sometimes a good example of this is like, let's say a couple misses their kid's doctor's appointment, right? And immediately you realize you missed the doctor's appointment, and one partner might be thinking, she didn't tell me, or he didn't tell me, or whatever. And the other one's like, well, I made the appointment. I thought it was on the joint calendar. And you want to do that whole thing, but it doesn't matter. You have a missed doctor's appointment. You need to make another one. Who is making the appointment, and who is going to take ownership over taking the child to the next one? All that needs to happen. But we like to go through like, they are never there for me. They're irresponsible. I have to do everything. It's not my fault. We want to throw blame other places, generally, while the kids we serve want to take on all the blame. So watch that too. If there's kids in your life that you want to throw blame onto. And it's not that we want to, it's just that we need to make ourselves feel like, well, I'm okay. I did the right thing. And the truth is maybe you just messed up. Maybe you had the best intentions. Maybe you scheduled the appointment and you were on top of it and you put it in your calendar and life just got away from you. People make mistakes. Let yourself make mistakes. All you need to do is, hey, I missed this appointment. Take accountability. Take ownership. Life just got away from me. I was just sitting here. I totally could have been there. I don't have a good excuse. Let's make a new appointment and move forward. So I want you to see where you're doing this, because if I just told you about the kid's experience, you would say that you don't do this. And you would see a kid blaming themselves and you would go, oh, I can tell that you're blaming yourself and it's not your fault and all the. But when you have recently just blamed yourself for something, like I did with the lipstick on the couch, I see somebody else beating themselves up or trying to find blame in somebody else, and I'm like, I get it. Because I was about to sail my mom down the river because she left that lipstick at my house. And I was about to curl up in a victim ball and never buy myself anything nice ever again. And I was about to. So you look at other people doing this, blame reflex, and you go, I get it. I do it too. I do it all the time. I'm working on it. But what I've found is that there's usually a story underneath it. And the story is, I can't have nice things. Or the story is, I'm always to blame, or I'm worthless, or whatever that story is. If you can get there and go, well, that's ridiculous. I'm going to work through that wound, which you can do with the Heal Yourself, Heal the World course. But you can also see it in a kid and have so much more empathy rather than going, oh, I learned about this somewhere. And so I'm going to say, what are the other possibilities? And oh, I see you're blaming yourself and you're not to blame. And what can we do now? And let's just move forward. That's very different than, I get that you are trying to figure out who's to blame for this because I do that. I just did that. But I came to the realization that it's nobody's fault. And even if it is somebody's fault, it happened. And mistakes happen. And so how are we going to move forward in a way that isn't triggered by a wound that we have, but just by the facts? We're just going to create evidence that we can roll with the punches and make new choices. And that's the best we can do. So knowing that you do it too actually helps you recognize it and empathize with somebody rather than judge them for doing it. Oh, I see you're doing that thing Rebecca was talking about. Okay. So your homework is to go look where you are placing blame. We do it all day long. So hopefully you can find an example. Hope this was helpful for you. And until next message.